Reactive versus proactive. So you've heard these terms before?
Yes, sir.
And everyone says you don't want to be reactive, you want to be proactive, meaning we don't want to be on defense, we want to be on offense. Generally speaking, good rule. I like it. It's better to be proactive than it is to be reactive. It's better to be on offense than it is to be on defense. A good example of this, during my first deployment to Iraq, we were doing direct action missions where we would load up our vehicles, leave our base. We would drive between 15 minutes and 5 hours, get to a enemy location, assault that building or position, grab whatever bad guy we're looking for, do an extensive search of the area looking for intelligence, load back up into the vehicles, drive between 15 minutes and 5 hours to get back home. When you think about that, initially it sounds like you're on offense, right? You're going out and you're attacking. The reality of it, and it kind of felt like that for a little while, but then the more I thought about it, that whole time when you're driving in a vehicle down a road, you're not on offense, you're on defense. And you're waiting for the enemy who has the opportunity to be on offense, to attack at the time of their choosing. So you're on offense. Yeah, when you hit the target, you're on offense to the people that are in that target building because they didn't hear you coming up. I mean, now if they hear you, obviously you're almost immediately on defense anyways. But if they don't hear you, which they shouldn't, and you get a good jump on them and you keep the element of surprise, which is a critical part of any special operation, if you do that, you're going to be on offense for those 4 minutes that you're clearing a building. But by the way, everyone that's now outside of that building, everyone that's in that neighborhood, in that city, in that vicinity, that's an enemy, now they can come attack you. And you're going to be on defense and they're going to be on offense. And then you got to drive home. Now when you're driving home, you're on defense. You're waiting to suck start in a freaking IED. So even though it felt and it sounds, I shouldn't say it feels, it sounds like offense, a lot of it's defensive. And I definitely felt that more and more the longer that deployment went on. And this was in 2003, 2004, and now the enemy's getting more organized. They're starting to be better with their setting up ambushes. They're being better with their IEDs, their roadside bombs. So as they're getting better, we're now really feeling more defensive. Now, fast forward a few years to 2006, I'm over in Ramadi, and now we're doing what we did. We still did direct action missions. They still felt about the same. In fact, they felt a little bit worse because now in 2006, the enemy was really good with roadside bombs. They were really good with conducting ambushes. They were really good with combined arms. So they'd hit you with an IED and then that would stop you. And then they'd come with RPGs and then machine guns. And so it was like, they were good. So now going down the road to go do a direct action felt very defensive. And we started doing on that deployment a lot of overwatches, sniper overwatches, where now we're sneaking in, they don't see us. We're quiet, they don't know we're there. We're seeing the enemy maneuver and they don't know we're there, and we're able to kill them without them even knowing what happened. That's real offensive operations. Like, it felt a lot better. We were fighting the enemy on our terms, not on their terms. So there's just a bit of a reframing of your mind that takes place. And when I came home, like, I was explaining this to other SEALs when I got home, even senior SEALs, senior leadership in the SEAL teams, when they would be asking about these operations, be like, we were on offense. And they will, well, direct action's on offense. It's like, no, actually think about that. Sure, it is an offensive operation for 48 seconds. And we are going and attacking the enemy, but most of the time you're on defense and it doesn't feel that good. So it's a reframing of the mind that you have to do. And this is also in tune with Peter Attia when he talks about medicine 3.0, right? We're not just trying to attack the disease once it hits us. We're not going on offense once we're sick. No, we're doing preventive things to attack the illness before it even gets to us, before it even takes hold of our body. We're not just countering what the disease is doing. We're actually going on offense so the disease can't even get a foothold. It's an important thing to think about because, again, you can have the same mindset of, well, if I get sick, I'm going to do this. I'm going to fight. It's like, well, what can you do prior to the fight? So I think that we can have a tendency to make this mistake in other parts of our business, in our life. We make the mistake of what being proactive really means. And I think what we need to pay attention to is what's going on, assessing the future, assessing possible outcomes, assessing possible contingencies that can take place. And what's better than contingencies? A contingency is a reaction. Like when you do a contingency plan, it's a reaction. It's better to do a full preventative plan of what could go wrong. It's the same thing with self-defense, right? What's the best form of self-defense?
Not being there.
Not being there. It's the best form of self-defense. What are you going to do if you get attacked at night, going down a lonely, dark street? I got an answer for that. Why am I going down a lonely, dark street at night? Why am I doing that? Why am I there? Why didn't I organize things so that I wouldn't be exposed like that? And people make that mistake. Do we need to train with firearms? So if we do get forced into that situation, sure. Do we need to train martial arts so we can handle ourselves? Sure. However, what's optimal? We're not even there. And it's not like it's that hard in many cases to avoid those kind of things. The other one is, it ties into that, is situational awareness. We use the term situational awareness a lot, but we talk about looking at the situation we're in. So when I say echo, make sure you have good situational awareness. Now you're walking down the street alone at night and you're looking around.
Yeah.
Great. I'm glad you're situationally aware, but you're situationally aware of the present. Yeah. This is not optimal. Yeah. What's optimal is to be situationally aware of the future, of where you're going to be. Wayne Gretzky, don't skate to where the puck is, skate to where the puck is going to be. That's what we need to do. And how do we do that? Well, you've got to take time. You've got to take time. You got to detach. And in the military, we end up with a person, when a unit gets big enough, you end up with a person that does, quote, future operations. Mm-hmm. Because the operations guy that's in charge of everything, he's worried about what's going on today, maybe tomorrow. He's like, we got this going on, we got this operation. You need someone that's thinking a month from now, 2 months from now. So when we don't always have that luxury in our lives, I can't hire someone to be Jocko's future operation life guy, right? Mm-hmm. To look at, hey man, look at your health right now. It looks like in another 6 months you're going to be have gone down in your number of pull-ups. You need to pay attention to that, right? I don't have somebody doing that. No. I don't have somebody tracking that. Mm-hmm. I don't have someone saying, hey, hey Jocko, I'm looking at how much time you've been spending with your wife. You haven't taken your wife on a date you haven't taken her out for dinner in 4 months. Mm-hmm. That might not be good. I don't have anyone doing that. So we have to kind of do it ourselves, right? We got to pay attention. How do you do that? Writing things down is such an incredible method of detachment. Mm-hmm. So when you start writing down, hey, earnest questions about where you're at right now, looking at possible outcomes, looking at likely outcomes, looking at unlikely outcomes, writing those things down so that you can then assess them, that is a positive way to gain the perspective of the future so that you don't find yourself in a scenario that you shouldn't have been in the first place. This will make you proactive instead of reactive. This will allow you to be on offense instead of defense. This will make you better. That's what I got.
That was one of the better little statements I've heard in a while.
Which one was that?
Don't put yourself in a place that you shouldn't have been in the first place.
Yeah.
Right? Or you don't want to do stuff to find yourself in a place that you shouldn't have been in the first place. Dang, that what was it? The gas station, the whatever analogy when you're like, yeah, I got here, but I'm situationally aware. So I'm kind of saying there's a bigger picture going on, kind of a thing, where certain places, how they call them transitional spaces, right? Where you got to be more situational, even though you got to be situationally aware everywhere. But these are times where it's kind of heightened, where the increased threat or whatever, where you could keep yourself out of increased threat situations just by keeping this state of mind, essentially. Yeah, that bigger picture we might miss a lot of the time.
Yeah,
that future operations.
Yep. You could have filled up. You use gas station. I just said dark street, right?
Okay.
But gas station's a good one, right?
Yeah.
You're planning out a trip. Well, I'm going to be out of gas in this neighborhood. You know, it's a bad neighborhood. Fill up before that area. Why are you there? Sure, you can get out of the car and be all situational and press check your weapon before you get out and do all those things. But wouldn't it be better if you weren't there?
Yeah.
Yes, it would be.
Yeah, that's funny because, like, Brad, you put these into terms, this idea, because every once in a while I'll feel that, and I'll kind of make it happen. Sure, they're mundane things for the most part. So I was coming home from wherever I was coming home from the other day. You know, I was done with whatever I was done, and I was driving home. My gas is at quarter tank, a little bit less than quarter tank actually, and that's irresponsible. So I've heard. So I'm like,
Pat Mac came in and said, "Hey, he was Echo."
Yes, sir.
Basic dude stuff. Get that tank topped off.
Exactly right. So I'm thinking, freaking, I'd really like to get home right now. The gas station is literally like 1 more minute. It's 1 minute out of the way at this time. And I'm thinking, wait, tomorrow I have a few things to do. I'm not in any kind of rush, but I have a few things to do. The next day I have a few things to do or whatever. It's like right now is literally the time I should go. So, but I'm thinking days in advance. You see what I'm saying? Because I could easily go tomorrow, like literally, because it's literally only 1 minute away. But still, I'd rather spend that 1 to 2 minutes now when I can kind of spare it in a way.
It's always better to pay now than pay later.
Yeah, and because later is like it's like a dice roll, Like what if I forget? What if I get in the car? I gotta go. I'm freaking right on time. Oh wait, my gas is too low. Whatever, But it's that vision. I know I'm making it sound like a bigger deal than it is, but because this applies to bigger things, is what I'm saying.
Echo Charles, strategic thinker, topping off that gas tank.
I'm saying if you keep this idea in mind, bro, it'll get you just like how you said, which is again a very good way to put it. It'll keep you out of situations that you shouldn't have been in the first place.